What's up, everyone? This is this what it is? And I'm your host, Gunvid. So, first off, feeling better, so that's good. I'm like 90% recovered from this cold. And I don't know, my right shoulder was hurting, and I got some rest, and that's feeling better too. So, I'm back in the gym tomorrow. Yeah. Took like fucking 3 days off, and I feel like shit. I'm like, but that's a good thing. That's a good mentality. You gotta stay in the gym. But anyway, let's get back to pretty much the biggest news in sports. SHEDEUR Sanders is still undrafted after the second day of the draft. And look, what's crazy? When even Donald Trump is like, he said these teams are stupid for not drafting him, and like, that's crazy. You got the president of the country saying that before the second day of the draft, and he still didn't get drafted. I thought that would have put a lot of pressure on the teams to be like, bro, but these teams don't give a fuck. Okay, so now everyone's speculating on why he hasn't been drafted, and I have a couple reasons why he might not have been drafted, why I think, and honestly, one of them isn't racism. Because if it is, does that mean Cam Ward isn't black anymore? Because he was picked first, and he's a quarterback. The Titans got Cam Ward first. Not only did they get Cam Ward, they unretired someone's jersey, like the number 1 was retired. I forgot the player's name, no disrespect to him. But they unretired someone's jersey so he could have number 1. So not only did they draft him, they did that, which is very rare. I've never heard about that. I've never heard a jersey being unretired in sports. So, and then you got all these other black players being drafted in the first and second and third and fourth round. So it's like, are they not black anymore because SHEDEUR didn't get drafted? Because if Cam Ward didn't get drafted up until this point, and no other black players got drafted, then we can say, all right, clearly this is racism. You look at the numbers, you got more than one black player not being drafted. This is clear racism. But when you got a black player going number 1, if they would have took Jackson Dart over Cam Ward, that would have made more sense to be like, all right, what are we talking about? I don't even know Jackson Dart's stats, but like, he's not a bad quarterback either. He's a white quarterback. But, just for example, if that would have happened, it would have made more sense to be like, all right, this might be some racist shit because this person has better numbers and, So, and I think, like, black people, they're obviously going to know more about why this might be racism. So, y'all could explain why you think this is racism. But from my perspective, if Cam Ward goes first in the draft and he's black, to me, it's not racism. It's got to be... I was thinking about it, right? And one thing I could think is that it might Like, all right, first off, I'm not going to blame it on his dad at all. I think that has nothing to do with this. Pretty much, like, I'm going to take that out of the picture. All right, so now that Deion's out of the equation of why he hasn't been drafted. Okay, so I think partly the reason why is because he went to Colorado. Now, I don't know too much about college football, but I've never heard about Colorado too much before the Sanders family arrived. So the fact that he didn't go to top 10 or whatever school, I think that might have greatly hurt him. I think that's the biggest reason why. And I don't hear too many people saying that, but think about it. If he went to a top school, they have better business relationships with the NFL GMs and owners and all that. So I think that greatly hurt him. And then, I haven't seen too much of Cam Ward. SHEDEUR play, but what I did hear is that he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks, and that he takes unnecessary sacks. So there could have been a football IQ, like his IQ level in football as far as not getting sacked. Maybe that's something that they didn't like. And also, it's like, yeah, other teams drafted quarterbacks, but like I mentioned before in the last episode, most teams, like other than the Titans, they have their first quarterback already. And the Steelers, but still, like, most teams, they have already first quarterback, and I think they feel that SHEDEUR is probably going to want to either start from the beginning of the season or at least like 8-9 games in. He's going to keep asking to get played, and all the fans are going to want him to be in the game. So I think they drafted other quarterbacks that they wouldn't have to deal with so much pressure from people saying that SHEDEUR should be put in the game and that his father should be a coach or whatever. But still, I'm still not putting any blame on Deion, because if anything, Deion helped them get to the draft. Like, he coached them. He put in a good word for his sons. Both of his sons haven't been drafted. So, yeah, I just can't see it being a race thing right now. But other than the things that I mentioned, and that he, like, pats the ball before he throws the football, and like some defensive guy in the NFL, he like pointing that out. There's certain things, like, other factors other than race that could be a factor to him not getting drafted. Because if it was really about race, all these other black players wouldn't have been drafted. That's pretty much what it is. They're not going to be like, oh, this one player, we're not going to draft him, but all these other black players are going to draft him. How would that make sense? And there is a lot of racism when it comes to not hiring black people. I agree, but I don't know if that's the case here. Ultimately, I feel that if a team felt that they could win with him, they would have selected him by now. It's just that they may not feel that he's ready. And honestly, some teams might feel like they want to see one more year of him in college. Like, okay, let's see if he could go. If he does go back to college, if we don't draft him, let's see if he can improve on some of the things that I mentioned, like him unnecessarily getting sacked, pause, and, you know, other things that he could work on to make his game better. That's what I think it is, because I was watching the draft. I saw many black players get drafted. So, yeah. It doesn't make sense for it to be racism. But hopefully he gets drafted today. I think today is the last day. But we'll see how this goes. Okay, and then I wanted to talk about something else. A few days ago on the podcast, I was like talking to Kanye West and saying, I was like, yeah, the devil, like, you know, he made me think that I was Jesus and that Jesus is God. Now, I don't want to disrespect people that believe Jesus is God. I'm not saying that it's the devil that makes people think that Jesus is God. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that the devil tried to convince me that I'm God by convincing me that I'm Jesus and that Jesus is God. If you believe that Jesus is God, I respect you and your opinion, but I just disagree because, like, I even thought that at one point, but I just don't believe that. But if you do believe that, you know, I don't disrespect your beliefs at all. And I don't think it's the devil that made you think that. What I think happened is that God sent Jesus as a prophet to teach people to worship God. And that, you know, God was showing his greatness by the way Jesus was born, you know, and the miracles he did. But I think people saw that, and, you know, everyone has their perspective and their way of interpreting things. So I guess they saw that and they interpreted it as Jesus being God and him saying to follow him. But really what I think he meant, and what I think is the truth, that he said to follow his good ways and teachings. You know, I think he would have been more clear and saying, I am God, pray to me, which I don't believe he's ever said in the Bible or anything like that. You know, he never said, I am God, just like that. I haven't seen it. And, like, you could watch debates of Muslims and Christians, and, you know, sometimes I see the Christians and I agree with them, and I'm like, okay, he makes a great point there. So I'm still on my journey, but I believe in Islam. I believe Jesus was a prophet of God, and I love Jesus so much. I would love to be in heaven and talk to Jesus and see. I'm happy I remember this. I would love to talk to Jesus in heaven and ask him what was his memories and perspective of the beginning of his life when he was born. You know, the way he was born and being able to speak as a baby and things like that, and like what he went through in his life, and, you know, like, how is your life? It's so interesting. So I gotta say, Muslims, we love Jesus. We love Jesus, and we love Christians and Catholics, and we believe, like, you know, you're our brothers and sisters. So I just wanted to make that clear. It's like all love and respect. So yeah, if anyone misunderstood that, that was no shade towards y'all. And let me light this joint. So I'm hoping that SHEDEUR gets drafted by the Jets today. Honestly, I would be like so fucking hyped for that. Like, I was thinking about it. They could have Fields and SHEDEUR do some like cool trick plays, you know? Like, SHEDEUR is real quick. And so is Fields. Like, I think Fields is probably pretty quick. I haven't seen too many of his highlights, but I think, you know, like, it doesn't have to be quarterback one and then quarterback two. Like, you could have both of them. I feel like we could see a league in the future where two quarterbacks play a lot. And, like, I don't know. I want SHEDEUR Sanders on the Jets. I hope we draft him. And let's not forget, Tom Brady, if I'm not mistaken, he was drafted in the 6th round. And he's known to many people as the greatest quarterback of all time. And I agree with that. I think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. So we're going to see how this goes. But if anything, this is probably a good thing for SHEDEUR because, like, I wouldn't say he was arrogant, but he was very confident and, like, you know, like, just, like, he was so ready just to go and be the number one quarterback. And sometimes when you have a setback like that, it just makes you pause a lot more hungry and just be so much more hungry to win. Like, honestly, think about it. If Tom Brady was drafted in the 1st round or even first, he might not even have been the GOAT. Like, really think about that. What if it was the fact that he was drafted in the 6th round that made Tom Brady the greatest quarterback ever? And I think, like, there's some real truth to that. Maybe Tom Brady wouldn't be as great if he was drafted in the 1st round. And look, right, I see a lot of people talking shit. Look, right, if SHEDEUR doesn't get drafted, I'm going to just be honest, it's not the end of the world. There's a bunch of players that didn't fucking make it that are great players and that people will be looking at and be like, why didn't this person get drafted? They're just not getting talked about. And it's just crazier that SHEDEUR, if he doesn't get drafted somehow, it's just crazier because he's so popular. And it's like, bro, like, I'm watching the draft, I'm looking at the comments, literally, like, every fucking comment is about SHEDEUR. No one's saying anything about anyone else that got drafted. I don't understand, like, this is crazy, but this is what I wanted to talk about that no one else is talking about, nigga. Look, right? I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, a lot of people don't make it. Even if you don't make it to the NFL at all, SHEDEUR and Shiloh, bro, there's a lot of ways to make money in this world, first of all. If we're just talking about making a living, right? You got podcasts. And I don't even want to be at this point in the conversation. Like, this makes me sad. But let's say if something crazy happens and they don't ever get drafted this year or next year, bro, right? You guys got a big name. You got podcasts. You can make millions off YouTube, literally millions every month off ads and sponsors, right? That's one thing. You can do real estate. I'm studying for my real estate license, and honestly, I don't even know if I'm even going to do it because, like, I got, like, a week left before the online training course fucking expires, because like I've been taking my time, like I've been taking breaks between studying, because I feel like the online shit, it's like fucking stupid how they made the curriculum and quizzes. Like it's just stupid, and like you gotta spend a certain amount of time in one section before you can move on. And like I just want to go through the whole thing and then go back and then study again. That's how I study best, and I can't do that. But whatever, excuses aside, you can do real estate. You could fucking, yo, bro, I don't care what people say. You could be a fucking delivery driver, bro. Like, fuck people who talk shit about delivery drivers. Like, nigga, bro, a lot of you people don't even have jobs. You be talking shit about delivery drivers, bro. And then you want to, be talking shit about delivery drivers. Like, nigga, you don't fucking get food delivered, bro. You talking shit about the nigga that's delivering food to you. Do fucking Uber, nigga. So what? So what? Are you gonna fucking not eat food because someone's gonna make fun of you for being an Uber Eats driver? Bro, you gotta get this fucking money somehow. Listen, be a host at a club. Be a fucking server at a restaurant. Do construction. Who gives a fuck? No one fucking cares. People, yeah, they'll show up to your job. They'll fucking make a funny video or whatever. Oh, nigga got a regular job. So what? At the end of the day, at some point, that person's going to leave. And, you're going to be able to do your job and make a living. And, whatever, nigga. Look. At the end of the day, even if people feel bad for you or no one's going to feel bad for you, it doesn't fucking matter. You got to do what you got to do. You either make it or you don't. I got a painting that I made, and I painted on the canvas. I wrote, you either make it or you don't. And I was thinking about my own career as a painter. Like, I was like putting so much pressure on myself to be great and also to be successful financially. And then I realized, I'm like, time is going to go by and I'm either going to be successful or I'm not. I'm either going to make it or I'm not. I'm not going to let that fuck with my mental health. I'm going to have peace of mind, and, I hope you have peace of mind, SHEDEUR and Shiloh, however this goes. I wish the best for y'all, and I hope the Jets draft you. I would go out and party. But like I said, if you don't make it, there's a lot of other great players that didn't make it, and it's just that a lot of people don't know them. And honestly, this is the NFL, and fucking, like, there's a low amount of people that get drafted compared to the amount of people that enter their name in the draft and all that. So, yeah, this is crazy. I do think SHEDEUR is going to get drafted. I'm hoping for it, but let's see. All right. And real quick, before I end the episode, I want to talk about him more probably in the next episode, but I do want to go and get something to eat. But what I want to say is I have been seeing, I believe his name is pronounced Kiyan, if not Kiyan Anthony, Carmelo Anthony's son. He's a great basketball player. I've been watching him play basketball for a couple of years now, and I'm excited for his future. I wish the best for him. I think he's going to be an NBA champion and an Olympic gold medalist. And I think it's great how his parents support him, Melo and Lala. And, it's great to see Melo at all the games and the way he supports his son. That's a great thing. So shout out to him for that. And you know, you can see they get like so emotional at like every game. You could just tell Carmelo, he has a lot of love for his son, and he's a great father, and I respect that. OD. Shout out to him. Salute to Carmelo and Kiyan, and yeah, I see nothing but great things in his future. So with that being said, if you appreciate this episode, hit that like button, comment, share, and subscribe. This is This What It Is? And I'm your host, Gunvin.